Hi everyone, my name is Kimberly Shipley. Today, I would like to talk to you about since I have become a widow due to my husband passing away on Christmas Eve of 2024. He had a cardiac arrest. But I would like to right now discuss with you these challenges. There's three challenging things I would like to discuss with you right now. For me, that's been, hard. Maybe you might find was in, the same situation at one time as I have been in. This is one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. My husband was only 52 years old. But the first thing I would like to talk about is this is going to be the very first thing let's talk about is emotional grief. Widowhood brings about a complex range of emotions, including deep sadness, shock, and anger. I experienced so much myself. I even had guilt. It's crucial to acknowledge and process these feelings, which can be triggered. It can be triggered by anniversaries, holidays, or even everyday reminders of, your loved one that's, deceased. Finding healthy, coping mechanisms, such as talking to a therapist or even joining a support group, church or anything like that may have a support group. That's kind of essential sometimes. Personally, I have been through so many stages of emotional grief. For the first few days when my husband passed away, this was a lot of what I went through. I had sadness. I couldn't sleep, just staring out in space. I mean, especially even during his funeral home. I didn't even know what to do. Then, at some point, I even got angry at my husband for leaving me. And even though he couldn't help it. And, but I even wanted to blame him. So sometimes so many different emotions, I have went through personally. And I am still going through, and constantly I'm still going through these emotions, even right now after it's been months. And, I'm still grieving emotionally. But now the second thing I'd like to talk to you about, right now is practical challenges. First we got to manage finances, household tasks. We're going to change our social life. We can become overwhelmed with all of this. Widows may face financial difficulties, especially if their spouse handle the finances or even if they experience a drop in income. There also may be struggles with practical tasks like home maintenance, cooking, navigational, social situations alone. Personally experienced a loss of income. That's what I experienced. And of course, my 8-year-old son was able to sign up on Social Security for me and my 8-year-old for survivor's benefits. But unfortunately, some people is not lucky because the spouse hasn't paid in that much of the income, hadn't worked that much. My husband was also in the military, and even home maintenance. That's been an adventure for me since his passing because it's, he done all the work around the home, fixing the home. We have a mobile home, so now I have to find somebody to work on it, on our mobile home, plus financially trying to fix it up. And, now since my husband passed away, it's been really hard. And, those challenges, it's been very hard trying to find somebody to do work. And now for the next, number 3 is rebuilding your identity and your life. The loss of your spouse can lead to a loss of identity and the sense of declaration in the process of refining yourself, oneself, and creating a new life path. This may involve finding new hobbies, reconnecting with old friends, or even considering, if you want to date again. It's a journey of a self-discovery and reliance. This is a tough one because, you know, you're so used to being with your loved one and your spouse and doing things with your spouse. Now you have to be completely in charge and find new things you only like and that you can enjoy instead of both of you enjoying. So you may want to, you know, go to a different route, you know, different restaurants, do different activities, even, you know, fixing different meals around your house. You may even want to change your house up a little. But, you know, a little bit like decorating it, just to keep some memories down. You know, you don't want to overdo and, you know, be keeping memories up. I know I done that a little bit. You know, everything just totally the same. Sometimes that gets hard, and, you know, our spouse is gone and you want to keep everything, you know, the same around you, around the house, and that is kind of like you're, you know, coming back. But of course, they're not. And, you know, I noticed that for myself, a change in my home was a good thing. And, you know, moving things around. But I just kind of wanted to discuss in this video 3 things, you know, you might experience after losing your spouse. You know, thank you for joining me. And please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you experience any of these things, you know, after the loss of your spouse, or, you know, even just, you know, grieving anyone, you know, father, mother, anything, leave it in the comments and let me know. And hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. And, you know, I appreciate each and every one of you so much.